After the incident at Sun Island, Froggy 2 has now moved in with Wang Ling and discovered that he likes to learn. Wang Ling, ever the uninspired and soulless drone, is working on programming software. Froggy 2 is wondering what the dullard is doing, but just then, Jinkei comes out too, telling him not to bother the so-called master. He explains to Froggy 2 that Wang Ling is working on a way of heaven software that makes people forget, and Froggy 2 instantly understands that the pathetic fool is doing it for Sun Rong, who has witnessed his ridiculous power. Wang Ling, in his typical half-baked fashion, activates Tian, his toy, and uses it to complete his programming. Seeing this, Froggy 2 asks why the charisma vacuum doesn't just use his forgetfulness spell, and Wang Ling, in his monotone, explains that the spell has side effects, and it's better for everyone if he does it this way. The frog then asks what the toy is, and Jinky explains to him that it's the way of heaven. However, Froggy 2 can't believe that a toy can be above the real way of heaven, but nothing surprises him anymore about Wang Ling's absurd life. Later that morning, Wang Ling is getting ready for school when he gets a text message from his friend Sun Rong. He asks her if she's ready for the test that they will be having, but Sun Rong is not prepared. She promises him that she won't tell anyone about his power, and Wang Ling, trying and failing to seem reassuring, confirms that she still has memories of his ability. Despite this, he tries to convince her that he's just a normal kid, which is laughable given his track record. Just then, Wang Ling's father approaches him, telling him about his new invention that runs on Wang Ling's way of heaven programming. He proceeds to explain how the gadget works, telling him that it's a memory loss device. He even gives a demonstration, but Mr. Wang instantly loses his memory thanks to his demonstration. Having lost his memory, he tries to give the demonstration again, thinking he hasn't done it before. But Wang Ling facepalms himself at the absurdity of the situation and takes the gadget from him, walking out through the door to school, showcasing his usual lack of enthusiasm. In class that day, Chen Chao and his friends are excited about their new physical art class, and Chen Chao can't hide his excitement. He compares his strengths to the teachers, but Guo Hao brings him back to reality, saying that all the teachers are at the golden pill stage. Chen Chao gets depressed by this but comforts himself with the fact that he is still stronger than Wang Ling. Hearing this, Sun Rong can't help but scoff at the absurdity of the statement. Just then, Instructor Pan walks into the classroom, announcing that it's time for them to take the physical arts class, and Chen Chao explodes in excitement. However, she bursts his bubble when she informs them that the teacher who is supposed to take the class is sick. The teacher in question is standing just outside, appalled and surprised by the announcement. She then announces that they will be taking the swordsmanship class instead, and Instructor Wang Zukang will be taking the class. After making the announcement, she proceeds to walk out of the class. The students express their dissatisfaction, and she tells them that if they have any problems, they can meet with her in her office. However, Wang Ling, ever the useless planner, has a plan for the test that they will be having. He takes out the device his father had given him, ready to use it on people, just in case his power goes out of hand during the test. The students converge at the gym, displaying some excellent skills. Chen Chao is feeling rather excited to be at the gym, and the group expresses their shock at how quickly the space was renovated after the demon invasion, giving credit to Sun Rong's family. Just then, Instructor Wang Zukang walks into the gym, activating a projected screen. He introduces the students to the legendary master on the screen, Sword Immortal Fanrui. He explains that nobody knows where he is now, and proceeds to explain how he had mastered the Way of Heaven swordsmanship style quickly, and split the heaven door in one strike. He then explains the difficulty of the Way of Heaven, and the kids can't help but marvel at the Sword Immortal. However, Wang Zukang informs them that they will be learning the style today. He introduces to the kids the wordless book, bought from the Infinite Sword faction. The kids are even more amazed that such a treasure is in their school, and Guo Hao points out that one would need to imbue spiritual force in it to use it. Instructor Wang affirms his suspicions and proceeds to the dais, opening the wordless book and imbuing his spiritual force into it. This activates the book, and a shadowy swordsman appears, displaying premium sword skill, making everyone gaze at the spectacle in awe. After the demonstration, Wang Zukang then announces to the students that it's their turn to try. A student steps up to the challenge, walking up to the dais in confidence. With as much passion as he can muster, he jumps at the dais, punching at the book with much vigor. Meanwhile, Wang Ling, in a rare moment of action, takes a quick trip to his Way of Heaven toy friend, Tian. Bribing him, he asks his friend to help him control his powers and make sure he doesn't mess up. Returning to the real world, Wang Ling arrives just in time to see the student fail the test, another testament to the chaos that surrounds Wang Ling. The students are worried that they will meet the same fate, but Wang Zukang waves off their concern as though it's nothing. He then calls the next student, Chen Chao, and the boy confidently steps up. Activating his spiritual energy, he confidently walks to the dais and delivers a powerful blow. The shadowy figure forms, splitting the ground in a terrifying display, and Wang Zukang is pleased, passing him. It's Wang Ling's turn, and he is called upon to take the test. Before he can take his turn, Wang Zukang stops him, saying that every time he takes a test, an accident always happens. Hence, he has taken insurance for the wordless book. Sun Rong, worried that his power will run amok again, asks the instructor if the gym has insurance as well, but Wang Zukang is confident that the special materials that were used to build the gym will hold out. Hearing this, Sun Rong can't help but facepalm herself, remembering all the times Wang Ling had caused widespread destruction. She urges Wang Ling to be careful this time, and he, in his typically dull manner, calmly walks up to the dais. Placing his hand on the wordless book, he tries to control his output. However, his power spreads out again, much to his dismay. Tian is unable to control him and his power is unleashed. A powerful shadow is formed, and everyone is surprised to see the golden shadow appear. It's a powerful technique called Split the Heaven Door with one strike, and as the name implies, a spiritual beam extends to the heavens, summoning a mighty spiritual sword in its wake. It causes widespread destruction, and Wang Zukang wonders who exactly this charisma vacuum is. Seeing this, Wang Ling sends Jinkei, his spirit sword, to stop the destruction. He then uses the art of ultimate restoration to fix everything. Everyone recovers, and he uses the device his father had given him to make everyone forget what had happened. Sun Rong loses her strength from the encounter, and Instructor Wang recovers from his initial shock having lost his memory, instructing Wang Ling to take Sun Rong to the infirmary. Meanwhile, the leader of the sword faction, who had witnessed the powerful technique that only his master could use, is amazed and glad, seeing this as an opportunity to find a successor to his faction. This adds another layer of absurdity to Wang Ling's already ridiculous saga. In the Four Emblem faction, the three masters of the faction are paying their respects to their masters, Grandmaster Fan Rui and Master Chen Nanshuan. After kowtowing before the images, they settle down at their round table. One of the masters expresses his displeasure about the fact that Qing Zhao, one of their members, is absent. However, his comrade defends Qing Zhao, explaining that he is out spreading the faction's fame. Meanwhile, the so-called master in question is out playing an arcade game, keeping his record as #1 on the leaderboard. Meanwhile, back at the Sun family home, a doctor is checking up on Sun Rong. But Mr. Sun, her grandfather, can't stop bragging about how Sun Rong is always overworking herself, getting good grades all the time. This soon turns into an obnoxious monologue of self-praise about his granddaughter's achievements. However, the doctor just wants to do his job. He checks her pulse and then releases a sigh. Hearing this sigh, Sun Rong and her grandfather enter panic mode, not even waiting to hear what the doctor has to say. Fed up with their behavior, the doctor calms them down, saying he has simply sighed because he was out of breath. The two drama queens finally calm down, and the doctor says there is nothing wrong with her. However, despite this, Mr. Sun is still not at rest and asks him to invite her over for more checkups. The doctor insists that she's fine, saying the reason why she had fainted is likely due to some psychological effect. In a bid to ease his worry, the doctor recommends that Mr. Sun take his granddaughter to a sanitarium for further checkups. However, the doctor warns him that the place is not fully built yet and not fully open. Hearing this, the wealthy old man instantly takes out his phone and sends a message. The doctor then turns on the TV and is beyond astounded to hear that the Sun family is ready to fully support the development of the sanitarium. Meanwhile, the perpetually clueless Wang Ling is preparing to visit his friend Sun Rong to check up on her, but is suddenly stopped by his mother, who is appalled by his casual outfit. After changing, Wang Ling and Froggy 2 make their way over to the Sun family house. In their friend group, Guo Hao and the others lament about being too busy to check up on Sun Rong, so they dump all the work on Wang Ling, who sighs in exasperation and confidently strolls in through the gate. The security is tight as they closely monitor him and Froggy 2. Just then, Sun Rong spots him through her window and waves frantically at him to gain his attention, surprised that he and Froggy 2 have come to pay her a visit. Meanwhile, in the surveillance room, Mr. Sun and an employee are closely monitoring the proceedings. The employee suggests listening in on their conversation, afraid that the Sun family princess might be in danger. However, Mr. Sun waves this off, inviting Froggy 2 over to watch with him instead. The two get familiar, talking about Wang Ling and hurling too many undeserved praises at him, making the employee look on in puzzlement. However, he stares at the surveillance screen, looking at Sun Rong and remembering the childhood memories they had created together. This saddens him greatly, and he can't help but express his jealousy, saying he was there first before Wang Ling. At the same time, in Sun Rong's private quarters, Wang Ling, the unimaginative idiot, presents to her all the gifts from their friends. She excitedly rushes over to check what they had gotten her, looking for Wang Ling's gift in particular, but she gets upset when she doesn't see it. Just then, Wang Ling takes out a flask from his bag, heats up the water within, and gives it to her as a gift. Seeing this, Sun Rong can't help but reveal an expression of bewilderment. Seeing her confusion, Wang Ling then offers her his dry noodles as a gift, and she perks up, cherishing his meager offering. Just then, a report arrives informing Sun Rong that it's time for her rehabilitation test. She then asks Wang Ling to tag along with her. They make their way to the rehabilitation center, and after inputting her ID into the machine, Sun Rong excitedly makes her way to one of the game stalls to take the visual test. After trying and failing to pick up a toy, Wang Ling, the clueless blockhead, steps in and decides to help. Seeing this, the employee from earlier gets jealous once again, setting the difficulty mode to the hardest. However, even this simpleton manages to use his overpowered ability, winning dozens of toys all at once. This shocks everyone, and Mr. Sun is rather pleased. Suddenly, Wang Ling takes the lead on the world leaderboard. They move on to take the agility test, and the walking cheat code obliterates the high score again. Seeing this, Mr. Sun only compares Wang Ling to himself in his younger days. They move on to the sports section, and the employee makes the difficulty even harder. However, this isn't enough to stop Wang Ling, who surpasses the high scores again. Meanwhile, at an arcade somewhere, Qing Zhao is upset that someone is easily crushing his high scores. They move on to another test that involves power, and Jinky advises Wang Ling on how not to overdo things. Taking the sword from Sun Rong, Wang Ling's ability defies all reason yet again, and he destroys the machine in one move. Seeing his high score defeated again, Qing Zhao is seething, more angry than ever. The tests end, and Wang Ling gives Sun Rong a gift which she cherishes with all her heart. Meanwhile, Qing Zhao is still venting about his high scores being broken. It's time to go home, and Wang Ling ushers Froggy 2, saying it's time to go home. However, Froggy 2 warns Wang Ling about Qing Zhao, whose high scores were repeatedly broken. As a member of the Four Emblems faction, the cultivator might come after Wang Ling. However, this doesn't deter him in the least, and he changes the subject as though nothing ever happened, completely oblivious to the danger looming over his clueless head. Back at the Four Emblems faction, they settle down at their round table, but one of them is missing. One of the masters expresses his dissatisfaction at the missing Qing Zhao, but his colleague calms him, saying some ungrateful people had challenged them, and Qing Zhao had gone to deal with them. When asked who the challenger is, the master says it's no one important. At the same time, the master Qing Zhao is staring at the photograph of Sun Rong, getting familiar with the face of his target. Meanwhile, back at Faction 60, instructors Wang and Pan are watching the news. The broadcaster is interviewing an old man who is rather enthusiastic about the physical arts. Instructor Wang turns off the TV to face Instructor Pan, informing her that the physical arts are important and that the school is falling behind in the classes. However, she counters this, saying that what's more important are writing and reciting, which are invaluable for settling war disputes. The argument between them intensifies, but just then, the Sword Saint from the Infinite Sword faction enters the room. He shows them the vacancy flyer, asking if they are in need of a physical arts teacher. Wang Zukong takes a closer look at the man, and realizing his identity, respectfully greets him. The Sword Saint unleashes 10% of his spiritual pressure, asking if that will be enough to get him the position of physical arts teacher. Rubbing off his sweat, Wang Zukong informs him that it won't be a problem. However, the old man reveals his true agenda, saying that he's looking for an heir to his faction from amongst the students at Faction 60. In a bid to talk with him away from Instructor Pan, he takes the old man on a tour of the school, warning him of Instructor Pan's schemes. Seeing this, the shrewd woman is not daunted, believing that no one can beat her in occupying the class no matter who they are. At the same time, back in the classroom, the students are staring at their new physical arts teacher, who's walking with instructor Wang Zukong. Guo Hao is skeptical about his teaching skills given his age, but Chen Chao reassures him, saying that the man might be a secret master. Meanwhile, Wang Ling, the perpetual dullard, is wondering what a sword saint is doing in their school, and Jinkei informs him that the old man is probably looking for an heir. Wang Ling then comments that he doesn't need to worry about that, seeing as his sword skills are average, just like everyone else. Hearing this, Jinkei can't help but reveal a look of uncertainty. It's time for class to begin, and Instructor Pan enters the classroom, declaring that they will be starting a pop quiz since the physical art teacher is taking a tour of the school and might take some time before he starts teaching them, much to everyone's dismay. However, Wang Ling, in his usual fashion, is not paying any attention. He opens a book, and using his miniature positioning array, he discovers the assassin that's coming for Sun Rong. At the same time, Qing Zhao is having trouble with his navigation app. He realizes that someone is spying on him and expresses his anger. Meanwhile, Instructor Wang and the Sword Saint are still on their tour. They suddenly spot Wang Ling and his friends headed toward them, and the Sword Saint seizes the opportunity to talk to them. Seeing the elderly man, the kids greet him respectfully, but they leave just as quickly. However, the old man calls them back. Wang Ling speaks up first, asking when they will have their physical class, but the old man admits that Instructor Pan is a very shrewd fellow. He releases his spiritual pressure and shows them his levitation abilities, and the kids can't help but be amazed. The old man gives them a brief lesson and tells them that in his faction, everyone must learn to levitate before they can graduate. Listening to his lecture, Sun Rong seems to understand something, impressing the old man, but Chen Chao and Guo Hao can't help but wonder what it is. She then tells them that she has a grand idea of how they can take the physical class. Meanwhile, Qing Jiao is still having trouble finding Sun Rong and can't seem to hide it, visibly expressing his pent-up frustration. Back at Instructor Pan's office, Sun Rong and Wang Ling invite Instructor Pan to their class to take them on a session. Delighted by their enthusiasm, she gladly accepts their proposition. Later that day, she settles down at her desk to have lunch, but Wang Ling is back again with Chen Chao, inviting her to another class. Seeing them so passionate, she doesn't want to let them down and accepts their proposition. After the class, Guo Hao arrives looking enthusiastic, inviting her to take their class again. It's now dusk, and Instructor Pan is rather tired. She locks her door just when they come to invite her to another class. Seeing that they are unable to enter, Lin Xiaoyu informs Wang Ling that there are no surveillance cameras. Understanding the assignment, he uses his power and breaks the door open. They drag the instructor away, but she can't help but shed tears of dismay. Later that day, she hides away in the bathroom, but Sun Rong quickly finds her. Deciding that she has had enough, Instructor Pan informs her that they can have their physical art class. Hearing this, Sun Rong and Wang Ling celebrate their victory. It's time for the physical art class. The Sword Saint instructs them that they'll be throwing some heavy balls. Chen Chao steps up to the challenge and gets a perfect score. It's Wang Ling's turn, and the ladies are worried that he will mess things up again. Meanwhile, Jinkei helps him increase the 10-kilogram ball by 1,000,000 times, hoping this will prevent him from overdoing things. However, when Wang Ling, the walking disaster, releases the ball, it travels around the world, striking Qingjiao dead, before coming back to land on the field as though nothing had happened. Nobody notices this except Lin Xiaoyu. She informs Sun Rong about what had happened, and the girl expresses her shock. Later that day, the Sword Saint is ranting to Wang Zukong about not finding his heir, but the old man is patient as he will be working in the school going forward, gradually testing the students. He asks about the person coming to do something in Faction 60. However, they are blissfully unaware that Wang Ling's ball had ended his life. Wang Ling, the resident blockhead, is hard at work again, molding an item. The radio is on, broadcasting the news about the wanted fugitive Qing Jiao. Meanwhile, the dim-witted Wang Ling seems to be done molding his special diet. At the same time, at the Four Emblem faction, the other three masters gather together again to mourn the demise of their comrade Qing Jiao. After paying their respects one by one, they vow to have their revenge on Faction 60 for taking the life of their comrade. Meanwhile, Wang Ling, blissfully unaware as usual, is working away. Froggy 2 asks what he's doing, and Jinkei explains to him that he's building a spirit vein for a playground in the demon world Wang Ling had created for him. This shocks the ex-demon king, who can't help but express his disbelief that such a dullard could build a spirit vein with bare hands. In class that day, Instructor Wang explains to the students about the origins of the spirit veins. He tells them that they grow naturally underground just like the blood vessels of the body, carrying spiritual energy and connecting to the crust of the earth. Just then, Chen Chao asks if the veins can be created, and Instructor Wang confidently and meticulously explains how impossible it would be for a mere human. However, the overpowered snoozefest Wang Ling, who had just created a spirit vein, casually looks out the window as though unconcerned about the subject. The class is over. But just then, it starts snowing outside, and the students can't help but express their shock. Seeing this, Instructor Wang is rather suspicious. Jinkei informs his master about it. Nobody cared about the snow until it started affecting everyone. Wang Zukong reports the situation to the Sword Saint, but the old man hopes that the heir he's looking for will handle the situation. But if he doesn't, then the Sword Saint will handle it himself. At the same time, Wang Ling, always slow on the uptake, is making his move to handle the situation. Just then, Jinkei informs him that someone is attacking the spirit vein under Faction 60. Wang Ling is about to do something about it, but just then, Chen Chao launches a snowball at him. Seeing him easily dodge the attack, Chen Chao decides to launch more snowballs at him, but the overpowered cheat code easily dodges everything. However, his sword spirit informs him that he's being watched and will get discovered if he keeps dodging the snowballs. Hence, he allows himself to get hit. Just then, Sun Rong and Lin Xiaoyu join them, and the game intensifies. They lose themselves in the fun, but Jinkei informs Wang Ling that the snow is getting heavier. Believing that there's still time, the moronic Wang Ling does nothing about it and continues having fun with his friends. Observing them from a distance, the old Sword Saint can't help but appreciate their youth. Suddenly it becomes colder than usual, and the kids have to stop their game. They can't help but find the situation strange, as they are not meant to be. feeling the cold this much. Instructor Pan also notices the situation and asks Wang Zukong if something is wrong with their spirit vein, but the instructor reassures her that the Sword Saint is taking care of it. She asks if the Sword Saint has found his heir, but Wang Zukong doubts if the heir is even in their faction. Instructor Pan asks if it's Sun Rong, but Wang Zukong explains that they cannot tell who the heir is. Instructor Pan then asks if it's Wang Ling, and they both laugh over it, knowing how laughably incompetent he is. Meanwhile, Chen Chao and his friends are rushing back into class, but his hand freezes upon touching the handle. They warn him not to touch the handles, and Chen Chao breaks himself free. He tries a different approach, attempting to break down the door, but Guo Hao stops him in time, telling him not to damage the property, but to resolve immortal art with immortal art. Then, Sun Rong, who's starting to feel cold, asks him to make a fireball. Feeling proud of his art, Chen Chao begins an unusually long chant to create a fireball spell, but he can barely muster a tiny flame. Seeing this, Chen Chao rushes off in tears. Guo Hao then tries to create a flame too, but the result is the same, and Chen Chao can't help but feel pleased by this. However, the ladies realize that something is amiss and try to create flames as well. The result is still the same, and they conclude that something must be interfering with the spiritual impulses. Sun Rong can't help but hope that the bumbling Wang Ling will quickly do something about the situation. Just then, Lin Xiaoyu collapses, shivering from the intense cold. Sun Rong then remembers that her butterfly clan is weak against the cold. Chen Chao carries the freezing girl, preparing to head to the infirmary, but just then, Guo Hao notices Wang Ling's absence. Meanwhile, unknown to everyone, one of the 4 emblem faction masters is imbuing his cold energy into the spirit vein. The situation worsens, and Chen Chao rushes towards the infirmary along with his friends. Just then, Jinkei reassures Sun Rong that his useless master is doing something about the situation. At the same time, Wang Ling is approaching the perpetrator. However, seeing a student in the foundation phase stage, he doesn't seem fazed. Wang Ling suddenly apprehends the assailant's sword, shocking the man. Seeing this, he unleashes more of his power, but Wang Ling easily deals with the situation. This sends the culprit flying, breaking the dome shield around the faction in the process. Wang Ling imbues the spiritual energy into the vein, and everything returns to normal. Seeing this, the Sword Saint can't help but wonder who the heir is. Meanwhile, far in the distance, the assailant lands right in front of Zhou Yi, and the master is pleased, pretending to have been aware of the situation. The episode starts with a girl approaching Zhou Yi with a grave expression, informing him that Sui Hu has died. She explains that according to reports, Sui Hu was simply slapped and fell from a height, which led to his death. Zhou Yi, puzzled and skeptical, questions how a cultivator with a mortal face could die from just a slap. His doubt stems from knowing the resilience and strength of cultivators, which makes such a cause of death seem implausible. After a brief pause, Zhou Yi asks if she has any more information to share. She then reveals that the 4 Elements faction has placed a bounty on capturing Zhou Yi, and that several mercenary cultivators have already taken up the task. Despite the threat, she expresses her confidence that these mercenaries won't succeed in capturing him. Zhou Yi outwardly laughs, dismissing the threat by calling the mercenaries weak. However, internally he feels a surge of fear, realizing the gravity of the situation and the increasing danger to his life. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, Jinkei suggests to Wang Ling that they replace their regular crispy noodles with the Way of Heaven, implying a more profound, perhaps spiritual nourishment. Wang Ling, considering the suggestion, ultimately decides against it, preferring to stick with their usual crispy noodles. It's almost laughable how this simple-minded fool can only think of food. The next day, Chen Chao excitedly discusses a big sale at the cultivation mall, expressing his desire to purchase anti-gravity dumbbells. His enthusiasm is contagious, and all his friends decide to visit the mall together. Upon entering, Chen Chao and Guo Hao immediately rush to browse through the myriad of items on sale, their eyes wide with excitement. The mall is bustling, filled with various cultivation tools and artifacts, each more intriguing than the last. Guo Hao's attention is quickly drawn to a set of ancient spiritual wings displayed prominently in one of the stalls. He gazes at them longingly, expressing his wish to own such a powerful and majestic artifact. Lin Xiaoyu, always practical, checks the price tag and is shocked to see that the wings cost a staggering 100 million spiritual coins. Sun Rong, ever knowledgeable, explains that items of such power can't merely be bought with money. They choose their master based on worthiness and compatibility. Guo Hao muses aloud that even if someone were wealthy enough to buy the wings, they might not have the ability to control them. Chen Chao chimes in, mentioning that those who can control the wings have the unique ability to hear their thoughts, a skill that requires immense spiritual strength and harmony with the artifact. Meanwhile, Wang Ling begins to feel a growing sense of unease. The ancient magic wares in the mall, sensing his overwhelming spiritual power, start clamoring for his attention. They whisper to him, each one desperate to be chosen by such a powerful master. It's almost pathetic how even ancient artifacts are falling for this incompetent buffoon. buffoon, mistaking his plot armor for power. After the incident with the peacock wings, the mall attendant is visibly distraught, lamenting their sudden disappearance. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, a man closely monitors Wang Ling and his friends through a surveillance screen. He questions his companion about their affiliation, specifically asking if they are associated with Faction 60. His companion confirms this, prompting the man to give a directive to the salesman nearby. Ignoring the rules against using spiritual force to influence sales, the man instructs the salesman to entice Wang Ling and his friends with expensive items. He explains that while he's aware of the Four Elements faction, he prefers not to provoke Zhou Yi, knowing he has the support of a formidable top cultivator. In the next scene, Wang Ling is seen making some purchases within the mall. Chen Chao notices a display of glasses and becomes intrigued. The salesman, eager to make a sale, enthusiastically presents him with the latest model of white glasses, specifically designed for cultivators weak in combat training. To sweeten the deal, the glasses come bundled with a pair of anti-gravity dumbbells, which catch Chen Chao's attention immediately. Excited at the prospect, Chen Chao's enthusiasm wanes upon seeing the price tag of 60,000 spiritual coins. Sensing his hesitation, the salesman quickly offers advanced spiritual force payment plans to ease the financial burden. However, Guo Hao intervenes, cautioning against such arrangements. He warns that committing to these plans would mean future spiritual force obligations, tying them to potential complications down the line. The salesman then shows a blind box of spiritual beast eggs, offering a rare spiritual beast with a 2% chance, and they get excited. The man says it costs 100,000 spiritual coins. Lin Xiaoyu and Sun Rong watch, and Lin Xiaoyu asks how the salesman knows what Chen Chao and Guo Hao want. Wang Ling explains that big data knows everything. It's astounding how even big data can't compensate for Wang Ling's chronic idiocy. Sun Rong says they need to stop them, and they decide to pay the bill. The cunning man apologizes and offers a discount and free order chances. He spins a machine, and Wang Ling gets multiple chances, winning a golden ball and a discount. The man then challenges Wang Ling to get 2 red rubies to win a free spiritual beast egg, which Wang Ling does, leaving the man astonished and fainting. Wang Ling keeps winning various games, getting items for his friends, and a 10% off coupon for anime figures. They leave with lots of items, and the salesman cries, while the boss gets angry, instructs to find out Wang Ling's preferences using big data, and stops him from winning more coupons. The salesman offers Wang Ling crispy noodles for free if he stops playing the lottery. But Wang Ling keeps winning more noodles, causing the stock to run out and the salesman to quit his job. It's hilarious how this idiot's only real skill is winning free food. The next day, they are on a train, and Sun Rong asks Guo Hao what's wrong. Guo Hao says that using future spiritual force is not a good idea. Chen Chao acknowledges that they would have fallen for the trap if Wang Ling wasn't there. Sun Rong suggests a charity sale for the items Wang Ling won. Wang Ling agrees while eating crispy noodles, because of course, even in the face of important decisions, this fool can't stop stuffing his face. The episode ends with Zhou Yi opening a parcel containing a shirt and pants, likely a desperate attempt to forget he ever needed help from such a clown. The narrator introduces the 3,000 secret arts of ways of heaven, described as the ultimate forms of cultivation arts. These arts are highly revered and considered the pinnacle of spiritual and mystical prowess. Mastering even one of these arts can make a cultivator invincible, a force to be reckoned with in the mystical realms. However, these arts are so elusive that countless cultivators dedicate their lives to trying to comprehend them, often without success. Many never even get a glimpse of these profound techniques, spending their days in endless routines of daily care and maintenance of the world's minor yet essential elements. In a hidden ethereal realm, a group of elves is seen in deep conversation. One of them, identified as the Master of Spiritual Energy, brings attention to the arrival of 2 newcomers. He appears concerned and somewhat agitated, recognizing the damage done to their body. Another elf inquires about their fate, and the master decisively instructs that they be thrown into the lunar well. This mystical prison, a place of eternal confinement, already holds Jiang Ling, a figure trapped there indefinitely due to her inability to grasp the intricacies of the way of heaven properly. The master asserts that Jiang Ling will remain imprisoned forever, unable to break free from her own misunderstandings. The master reveals that a lot of cultivators have been trying to learn the way of heaven recently, and asks the other elf how this work is going. Just then, another elf gets their attention and tells them that they must not allow cultivators with unscrupulous intentions to learn the way of heaven. Then they see a cultivator, Chen Nanshuan, attempting to ascend the spiritual heights of the way of heaven. He is fully engrossed in his meditation, seated in a lotus position, his focus unwavering. He declares himself the true heir, destined to achieve this ultimate art. However, his concentration is abruptly disrupted by other elves who appear determined to prevent his ascension. They recognize his attempt as the 6751st challenge to the ladder of the mind, however, They are reminded that he has disrespected his master, and such behavior disqualifies him from attaining the way of heaven. They cast him down, thwarting his efforts. Meanwhile, a member of the Four Elements gets furious, realizing they've lost some members, and swings his sword in fury, slicing through a mountain. Jen comes in and suggests reporting to the master, but the first one believes they are being tested and must complete the task before the master arrives. He mentions hearing about a student with the codename Zero, but doesn't know his whereabouts. Jen then mentions that Faction 60 will hold a charity sale tomorrow, and he plans to use the opportunity to attack. The following day, Instructor Pan stands before the class, making an announcement about an upcoming charity sale. Organized by the diligent students Chen Chao and Sun Rong, the charity sale aims to gather unused items from the students to support impoverished factions. Miss Pan emphasizes the importance of participation, noting that all proceeds from the sale will be directed towards helping those in need. She also mentions that participants will receive rewards. Just then, Jinkei asks Wang Ling if he has decided on what to sell tomorrow, but Wang Ling tells him he hopes there is a suitable one. Meanwhile, Chen Nanshuan won't give up, as he takes a pill and attempts his 67-3 challenge to the Ladder of the Mind. Intrigued by the charity sale, Wang Ling decides to contribute. He opens a hidden door that leads to the Way to Heaven library. Froggy is curious about the hidden treasures within the house. He follows Wang Ling, eager to see what secrets might be uncovered. This mystical library is a repository of ancient knowledge and powerful artifacts, guarded by a group of dedicated elves. The elves, upon noticing Wang Ling's presence, are immediately struck by his aura and show deep respect. They address him as Mr. Ling, indicating his significant status within the mystical community, as he is the only one on the whitelist. Froggy, too, puzzled by their behavior, soon realizes the significance of Wang Ling's connection to the Way of Heaven. Wang Ling presents a pack of crispy noodles, the only thing the glutton possesses, to exchange for a treasure. The elves eagerly present various rare and powerful items to Wang Ling, hoping to trade them for his noodles. Among the treasures are artifacts of immense value and mystical properties, each capable of granting extraordinary abilities or enhancing one's spiritual power. However, Wang Ling, the bumbling snoozefest, with his characteristic simplicity and preference for an ordinary life, rejects these items one by one, despite their allure and the power they offer. During this interaction, the elves are preoccupied with trying to impress Wang Ling, failing to notice Chen Nanchuan's advancement, allowing him to get dangerously close to his goal. Froggy, too, witnessing the exchange of treasures, is baffled by how Wang Ling is able to receive such valuable items in exchange for something as seemingly trivial as crispy noodles. He expresses his confusion, pondering over the significance of these noodles in the grand scheme of things. The story then takes a nostalgic turn, flashing back to Wang Ling's childhood. At the tender age of 3, Wang Ling was already exhibiting signs of extraordinary potential. One day, an elf appeared before him, drawn to a powerful painting on the wall. The elf, recognizing the immense spiritual energy emanating from the painting, offered Wang Ling a pack of crispy noodles in exchange for it. Despite his young age, Wang Ling agreed to the deal, captivated by the taste of the noodles. The elf, impressed by Wang Ling's decision, also promised to add him to the whitelist of the Way of Heaven, a rare honor that granted him special privileges and recognition within the mystical community. Back in the present, as Wang Ling continues to examine the items offered by the elves, searching for something that resonates with his preference for simplicity, his choice, a rice cooker finally pops up and he picks it up and leaves. Meanwhile, Chen Nanshuan's determination pays off as he finally achieves the Way of Heaven. Elated and triumphant, he declares his success, feeling a step ahead of his brother. Zhou Zhen of the notorious Four Emblems faction stands amidst swirling winds and crackling flames, vehemently declaring their intent to annihilate Faction 60, his voice echoing with determination and malice. Meanwhile, across town, Huang makes his way into the Four Emblems faction base and calmly answers his ringing phone, greeted by words of gratitude for his recent actions. Confidently, he affirms that he has successfully infiltrated the ranks of the Four Emblems, his voice betraying none of the risk and cunning required for such a dangerous feat. With deliberate movements, he picks up a brush and begins to paint intricate patterns in the air, each stroke seeming to carve out ethereal wings that shimmer with otherworldly light. As he does so, he invokes the ancient art of crane wings, proclaiming mastery over its immortal techniques with a blend of reverence and authority. Amid his demonstration, he mentions in passing the legendary Fierce Flame Divine Sword Energy, attributed to Zhu Zhen, a power that commands both respect and fear among practitioners. He seems poised to disclose a crucial revelation, something that could shift the balance of power when suddenly, the conversation is interrupted. The following day at school, Chen Chao enthusiastically discusses a charity sale endorsed by their faction's leader. Guo Hao chimes in to confirm the event and adds that Professor Pan has introduced a unique incentive, an opportunity for the leader to grant a wish using their extraordinary abilities. This revelation sparks excitement and curiosity among their peers about what items will be offered at the sale. Amidst the buzz, Chen Chao unveils a remarkable weapon, a broadsword crafted annually by his father, a tradition that garners admiration from those around him. Lin Jiayu contributes her creations, clay figures meticulously crafted by her own hands, drawing impressed reactions from the crowd. Sun Rong, curious as always, turns to Wang Ling to inquire about his contribution. Wang Ling's silence piques everyone's interest, leading to speculations about the nature of his potential offering. Eventually, Wang Ling, the dimwit, who never has anything useful to say, breaks the suspense by producing a seemingly ordinary rice cooker he got from the elves. Chen Chao jokingly questions its functionality, prompting a mix of amusement and curiosity among his friends. At the bustling charity sale, students diligently set up their stalls to showcase their offerings. Among them, Guo Hao receives a surprise courier package containing snow jade spiritual cats, rare and highly prized, which astonishes Sun Rong due to their scarcity. Meanwhile, unnoticed by most, Zhu Zhen, a member of the Four Emblems faction, stealthily infiltrates Faction 60, underestimating their security measures and wondering how Shui Hu and Qing Jiao got killed by them. However, Instructor Pan intercepts him, not discerning his true intentions as she thinks he is a member of Faction 60. With a scary demeanor, she questions him about his identity and class. She falls for his deception. Miss Pan astutely points out inconsistencies, including his dyed hair, emphasizing the importance of adherence to faction rules and discipline. As soon as she leaves, Zhu Zhen heads to begin his evil operation. Back at the lively charity sale, students engage eagerly with potential buyers. Wang Ling, the useless lump of flesh he is, senses a disturbance in the atmosphere, and purely by accident, neutralizes it with a subtle gesture, demonstrating his pathetic semblance of adeptness and vigilance. Chen Chao, noticing Wang Ling's reserved demeanor, encourages him to promote his item, the seemingly ordinary rice cooker, with more enthusiasm, but Guo Hao tells him to forget it. Having been friends with Wang Ling for a time, he knows getting him to say one more word is like killing himself. Sun Rong steps in to assist Wang Ling in selling his unexpected contribution while sparking curiosity among their peers about her unique item, a commercial rocket launcher button from the Flower Fruit Water Curtain group, garnering intrigued glances and inquiries from the crowd. Zhu Zhen, a determined member of the Four Emblems faction, attempts to unleash his formidable Fierce Flame Divine Sword energy again at the charity sale, aiming to cause chaos. However, his plans are swiftly thwarted by Wang Ling's timely intervention. Wang Ling, the clueless moron he is, intercepts a dangerous rice cooker covertly sent by Zhu Zhen, recognizing it as a potential threat. Understanding the gravity of the situation, Wang Ling takes the hazardous device to Zhuo Yi, who tells him he can deal with it since the monitoring systems are turned off and no one will interrupt. Wang Yi picks up the rice cooker and seals it in his own rice cooker. He then informs Zhou Yi that the villain is on the rooftop and he should go deal with him. Meanwhile, Zhu Zhen, frustrated by the failure of his initial plan, wonders where his rice cooker has gone. Just then, Master Zhuo Yi confronts him with confidence, ready to execute him. Despite Zhu Zhen's threats and aggression, Master Zhuo remains steadfast, bolstered by protective thermal wear provided by Wang Ling. Zhu Zhen launches a fierce attack, triggering a powerful explosion that reverberates through the surroundings, escalating the conflict to a critical juncture. After the intense events at the charity sale, Sun Rong approaches Wang Ling with curiosity, inquiring about the price of his rice cooker. Wang Ling, typically humble, or rather typically brainless, defers the decision to her. In the next scene, the classroom atmosphere shifts as Head Chen announces the remarkable outcome of the charity sale, an impressive 1 million spiritual coins raised for the support of underprivileged factions. Miss Pan takes a moment to acknowledge Wang Ling's contribution, praising him for earning Head Chen's special recognition. Sun Rong, having purchased Wang Ling's rice cooker with a novel idea in mind, considers its potential as rocket fuel. Intrigued by Wang Ling's unexpected success, Head Chen invites him to choose a reward from a selection that includes a scholarship, certificate, or spiritual wear. To everyone's surprise, Wang Ling, the fool with zero ambition, requests nothing more than a pack of crispy noodles, eliciting bemusement from his classmates. The episode begins in a bustling market filled with vendors and lively chatter. Among the crowd, a man carefully carries a cage that holds a glowing orb, the soul of Qing Jiao. Inside the cage, Qing Jiao's voice echoes, asking if there is any way to reclaim his physical body. He expresses deep gratitude to his brother for locating his soul, a beacon of hope amidst their dire circumstances. The man, revealed as the last surviving member of the Four Elements, reassures Qing Jiao with unwavering determination. He promises to use the most powerful spiritual lotus to reconstruct his body once he avenges their fallen comrades. Qing Jiao, his tone heavy with sorrow, laments the tragic loss of Shui Hu and Zhu Zhen, their sacrifices haunting the duo. The scene transitions to the outskirts of the market, where the man stops and surveys his surroundings, questioning if they have reached the correct location. Qing Jiao confirms, guiding him to a modest, weathered door. They knock, and an elderly man cautiously answers, peering out with wary eyes. After a tense moment, the old man hands over a small, intricately designed pouch. The man opens it and discovers a mysterious item within, his eyes gleaming with newfound hope, and he departs. Shortly after, the door sees another visitor, Wang Ling. The old man, upon recognizing Wang Ling, is immediately struck by a palpable sense of fear. His hands tremble as he hastily reaches for something behind the door. When he returns, he nervously presents Wang Ling with a simple packet of crispy noodles. In the following scene, a man is engaged in a phone conversation, discussing the successful capture of the Four Emblems faction. He praises Zhou Yi for his pivotal role in the operation. As the conversation continues, Zhou Yi approaches and hands him an anonymous letter. The letter reveals the existence of a secret realm, previously known only to the Four Elements faction. The man, visibly taken aback, acknowledges the legendary status of this hidden domain. Zhou Yi, calm and composed, elaborates on the matter, mentioning Chen Nanxuan, a formidable sword lord who trained under the same master as the revered sword saint. The connection underscores the importance and danger of the secret realm. Zhou Yi continues, explaining that the pottery figures they possess are semi-finished products crafted by an ant puppet master. He reveals that these figures, once activated, will transform into combat-ready magic warriors. This revelation brings a sense of urgency and concern, as they speculate on how many of these figures Xiongwu might be able to gather. The following day, the atmosphere at the school is tense as Mr. Wang addresses the impending threat. He warns that the Four Emblems faction will arrive fully prepared, planning a multi-pronged attack using numerous pottery figures. The students listen with bated breath, feeling the weight of the situation. Inspector Pan, visibly worried, inquires about the potential power level of these pottery figures. Master Yi steps forward, his expression grave, and assures her that once activated, the figures could attain at least the spiritual infant level. This revelation causes Professor Pan to panic, immediately suggesting that they send all the students home for their safety. Master Yi, however, stands firm. He insists on his capability to protect the students, exuding confidence and determination. To demonstrate his resolve, Master Yi releases his spiritual pressure, a powerful aura that rejuvenates his appearance, making him look years younger. This transformation astonishes Instructor Wang, who hadn't seen Master Yi this serious and determined in a long time. Head Chen, sensing the urgency and gravity of the situation, addresses Professor Wang and Ms. Pan, urging them to work diligently and remain calm. He expresses his confidence that with the Sword Saint present, the students will be well protected. Head Chen sees this impending attack not just as a threat, but also as an opportunity to unite the faction, reinforcing their strength and solidarity. With the Sword Saint Master Yi ready to defend, the students are safe. Instructor Pan addresses the students, informing them of an imminent challenge from the Four Emblems faction. Guo Hao explains the meaning of the challenge, and Wang Ling confirms the Four Emblems faction is at the sky level, which shocks the students. Instructor Pan motivates them, emphasizing that good always prevails and reassuring them about Faction 60's safety, moving everyone to tears. She promises to teach them defensive skills and then tells them to write an essay of not less than 3,000 words about her passionate speech. The following day dawns with tension and anticipation as Xiongwu, a formidable member of the Four Emblems, makes his move. He dramatically throws a flag into the air, summoning an army of pottery figures. The figures, menacing and numerous, are ready to overwhelm their opponents. Xiongwu fits one figure with clothes, marking the official start of the battle. At Faction 60, a report comes detailing Xiongwu's gathering of a significant number of figurines and his approach toward their territory. Zhou Yi, with a calm yet urgent demeanor, informs everyone that he has been instructed to activate the emergency defense mechanism. The news sends ripples of concern and determination through the faction. In a show of solidarity, other factions decide to come to their aid, understanding the gravity of the situation and the need for unity. Faction 60 quickly mobilizes, gathering their members and pooling their collective power to erect a formidable barrier designed to protect the school from the impending attack. As the pottery figures advance, the barrier glows with the combined strength of Faction 60's members. Wang Ling, always the silent guardian, uses his invisibility spell and vanishes from sight, positioning himself strategically for the coming conflict. The assault begins in earnest. The pottery figures, relentless and powerful, press against the barrier. Initially, Faction 60 struggles under the sheer force of the attack, their defenses wavering, but they refuse to yield. With the help of Froggy 2 and other determined members, they bolster their defenses, reinforcing the barrier with renewed vigor and coordination. Meanwhile, Wang Yi watches from afar. Xiongwu mocks the weak faction, but Master Yi arrives, ordering him to stop. Xiongwu, undeterred, prepares to attack, boasting about his superior forces and questioning how the old and weak Master Yi will stop him. Jinkei urges Wang Ling that it's time to act, who then releases a devastating shockwave. Master Yi identifies it as the Way of Heaven, which destroys all the pottery figures and Xiongwu's 100,000 soldiers, including Qingjiao's soul. Xiongwu falls, bleeding, while Instructor Wang steps out, praising Master Yi for his incredible feat. Master Yi, confused, realizes he was made a stand-in and wonders who did it. At the Four Emblems Cave, Zhou Yi receives a report from his security team that they have sealed the den of the Four Emblems faction. He questions if it has been properly sealed, and the officer confirms that all four corners have been checked and no one entered except for their Immortal mobile team. She assures him that the Four Emblems are arrested for sure this time and urges him to rest. However, Zhou Yi insists it isn't a time for rest. She persists, stating that the leaders of the Four Emblems faction were captured with the help of Lord Thunder's magic ware, and that they will complete the task of guarding the Great Karst Cave successfully. At that moment, an explosion occurs, cutting off the connection to Zhou Yi. It becomes apparent that someone is still inside the Four Emblem faction. Emerging from a hidden area, a figure notes that there are more than just 4 cultivators in the Four Emblem faction. Meanwhile, Sun Rong, demonstrating her usual poor taste, is mesmerized by the gift she received from Wang Ling and promises to cherish it. At the Cultivation Reserve Bank, a customer tries to withdraw his time deposit but is shocked when the attendant tells him that, due to the influence of the Demon World War, his spiritual coins have been sublimated. When he inquires about his fund, the attendant informs him it has been sublimated as well, breaking the customer's spirit. Sun Rong arrives at the reserve bank with her guards, and the manager greets her, asking if she is there for insurance business. He leads them to their latest vault for storing items and explains its security features. The vault requires 2 key balls, yin and yang, to be placed simultaneously to open the outermost door. Sun Rong inquires about the number of floors in the vault, and the manager explains that it is customized based on the client's needs and insurance ratings. They are currently on the 1st floor, while the strictest security is on the 49th floor. Impressed, Sun Rong acknowledges their reputation. The manager demonstrates how portals allow easy access to the desired floor, noting that only staff know the shortcuts. He shows her the exclusive pill refining furnace, containing all valuables of the Sun family. The last item deposited by Mr. Sun was a magic ware called A Lost Prayer to the Blessed Winds. When the manager asks what Sun Rong wants to store, she hands him Wang Ling's favorite snack, the Raccoon Crispy Instant Noodle Golden Collector Edition, shocking the manager and highlighting Wang Ling's pitiful lack of taste. At that moment, Sun Rong's grandfather arrives, checking on her well-being. After a brief conversation, he instructs the manager to insure her for 3 days in the vault and ensure her safety, allowing no one to disturb her, surprising all the workers. The news broadcasts that Sun Yi Yuan, the chairman of the FFWC group and Sun Rong's grandfather, announces his plan to temporarily seal his granddaughter in the pill refining furnace for safekeeping. The news anchor explains that this decision is related to Huang Long, a hidden member of the Four Emblems faction. The day before, Sun Yiyuan received a letter threatening Sun Rong's life, stating she would be assassinated at midnight 3 days later. Wang Ling, the clueless fool, watching the news during a meal with his parents, becomes furious upon hearing this. The news anchor discusses the situation with her colleagues. One mentions that Huang Long is known as a stealing cultivator, and his powers have significantly increased recently. Another explains that the Four Emblems faction's cave, connected to a fertile underground spiritual vein, served as Huang Long's retreat. He hid in the conference room of the Great Karst Cave to cultivate, growing stronger by absorbing the Earth's spiritual veins. They all agree that Sun Rong is in serious danger. One colleague suggests reigniting the flame of the pill refining furnace to accelerate Sun Rong's cultivation, noting that as a descendant of the Sun family, she could develop sharp eyes with the boost from the flames. The others agree, acknowledging the urgent need to enhance her abilities to protect her from the imminent threat. 3 hours before the scheduled heist, Wang Ling and his friends gather at Sun Rong's home with her grandfather, Sun Yiyuan. He appreciates their courage to visit Sun Rong despite the looming threat of Huang Long. Chen Chao remarks that sealing Sun Rong in a furnace is not a long-term solution, but Guo Hao counters, explaining that Huang Long, known as the Thief in the Moonlight, can make any magical ware disappear at the promised time. Sun Yiyuan praises Guo Hao for his knowledge, and Lin Xiaoyu asks if they can see Sun Rong. Sun Yiyuan declines, explaining that to prevent Huang Long, who can disguise himself using 72 transformations, from impersonating someone, Sun Rong must be isolated. However, he initiates a video call with her. On the call, Sun Rong thanks them for visiting, adding that she is still inside the furnace. They are surprised by her familiar background, which looks like her bedroom. Sun Rong explains that her grandfather had a master carve the interior space to resemble her real bedroom, and her father supplies her with various flavored nutrition pills. Lin Xiaoyu notes they are now 2 hours and 2 minutes from the heist time, and Chen Chao expresses disbelief that she will disappear like magic at midnight. Outside the house, journalists report that the Cultivator Reserve Bank is tightly secured with the highest level of security to protect Sun Rong. They emphasize that Huang Long, known for his perfect theft record, faces an unpredictable outcome, with only 18 minutes left until the heist. Inside the Reserve Bank, Zhou Yi and his team review the security measures. They confirm that the key balls to the 8 trigrams plate are with Sun Yiyuan and Lord Thunder, and marmots are employed to monitor the surrounding soil for any signs of intrusion. Zhou Yi commends their efforts and reminds them that there are only 5 minutes left until the heist, urging them to remain vigilant. Meanwhile, Wang Ling and Froggy 2 take a walk. Froggy 2 asks if Wang Ling plans to act soon, but Wang Ling, the procrastinating dolt, replies that it isn't time yet. They enter Sun Rong's normal room, where Wang Ling observes her portrait. The crew continues to chat with Sun Rong via video call. At midnight, the lights go out, causing panic. Huang Long appears with Sun Rong, having used a portal to capture her. He reveals that he has identified a user named Agan as the source of all their troubles, and that Sun Rong, as the cardholder, must pay the price. Sun Rong asks how he managed it. Huang Long explains that the low-level restraining spell of the Immortal mobile teams was ineffective against him, a cultivator in the true Immortal phase. He adds that Qing Zhao, specializing in spatial spells, has enabled him to gain the abilities of all 4 of his brothers. Huang Long declares himself the creator of the caved pill-refining furnace and traps Sun Rong in his spiritual space. Silently, Wang Ling communicates with Sun Rong, urging her not to be afraid. He states that he would intervene personally, but doing so would cause Huang Long's realm to collapse. He instructs her to eat the pack of crispy instant noodles he gave her. Huang Long ridicules this, but as Sun Rong eats the noodles, her appearance transforms. Wang Ling then declares Immortal King mode, as if anyone could take him seriously. Sun Rong, now in Immortal King mode, experiences a surge of powerful spiritual impulses and marvels at her newfound strength. Seeking clarification from Wang Ling, the perpetual underachiever, about the transformation, she learns that consuming the noodles has linked her with a fraction of Wang Ling's sealed spiritual impulse, specifically 1/10 billionth. Prepared for the impending battle with Huang Long, Sun Rong is astonished by the revelation. Meanwhile, Huang Long launches a secondary real-level spiritual sword at Sun Rong, who effortlessly blocks it. He's taken aback and questions if his sword is malfunctioning. Outside the Reserve Bank, onlookers are concerned and curious about the unfolding events. When the lights flicker back on, they see Sun Rong in concealment, reassuring everyone of her safety. Guo Hao attributes the incident to a power failure caused by Huang Long's defeat. Chen Chao scrutinizes the video feed and notices Sun Rong's unusual demeanor, suggesting nervousness. Lin Xiaoyu disagrees, asserting Sun Rong looks normal, but Chen Chao persists in his observation. Zhou Yi receives a call from Sun Rong's grateful grandfather, promising him a reward for safeguarding her. Jinkei emerges from Zhou Yi's weapon and discloses Wang Ling's directive for Sun Rong to confront Huang Long. Realizing the Sun Rong on-screen is Froggy 2, disguised to avoid panic, Zhou Yi prepares to mobilize a response team. Jinkei swiftly syncs battle footage to his device, urging immediate action as the confrontation nears its conclusion. Meanwhile, in Sun Rong's room, Froggy 2 and Wang Ling, the good-for-nothing slacker, strategize. Froggy 2 notices his transformation weakening and informs Wang Ling that his art of great transfiguration won't last much longer. Wang Ling reassures him, reinforcing his resolve with more spiritual force, confident in Huang Long's impending defeat. Froggy 2 asks how long he must maintain the guise. Wang Ling, in his typical clueless arrogance, confidently asserts that Huang Long will soon meet his demise. Back in the battle, Huang Long discovers Sun Rong's possession of primordial genuine impulse, typically wielded by higher phase cultivators. Astonished, he questions how a foundation phase cultivator like her could access such power. Despite his attacks with sword impulse, Sun Rong seizes his sword, further surprising Huang Long. He marvels at her ability to handle a sword impulse of the true immortal phase. Sun Rong strategically feints an attack, testing Huang Long's responses. He taunts her, attributing her temporary strength to crispy instant noodles and belittling her compared to higher phase cultivators. Undeterred, Sun Rong remains steadfast, declaring she feels no weakness. As a descendant of the Sun family, she vows to eliminate evil for righteous cultivators, even at the risk of her own life. Ready for her next move, she charges towards Huanglong. Her intense movement cracks the space around them. Sun Rong closes the gap with incredible speed, surprising Huanglong. He activates his ninefold sword shield, but Sun Rong's punch breaks through it, knocking him out with a single blow. Meanwhile, the Sword Saint, who has been searching for a successor in Faction 60, resonates with his surroundings and detects Huanglong's sword impulse. He realizes Huanglong, a cultivator near the true immortal phase, has turned to evil, thus ending any potential ascension. Reflecting on Huanglong's destruction of natural environments and violation of true immortal conventions, the Sword Saint understands the inevitability of Huanglong's downfall. Taking out a small wordless book, the Sword Saint explains to his subordinate that only those he has fought can appear on its pages. Looking through it, they see only Huanglong's battles. The subordinate questions if the combatant fighting Huanglong is from Faction 60, but the Sword Saint isn't sure. He recalls seeing someone from Faction 60 use the art of splitting the heaven door, though his subordinate doubts this, citing Faction 60's purported ordinariness. Determined to find the mysterious cultivator, whether from Faction 60 or not, the Sword Saint plans to broadcast the fight using the interface connector. He hopes viewer comments might provide clues about the cultivator's identity. Leveraging collective knowledge, he aims to uncover more about the powerful individual battling Huanglong. Meanwhile, at the reserve bank, a journalist reports that Yi Jianchu, the Sword Saint of Huaqiu, has located Huanglong and is currently engaged in a spiritual battle with a mysterious cultivator. The live broadcast captures Chen Chao and others' attention as they listen attentively. The journalist explains that only those who have faced the Sword Saint can be depicted in the wordless book. They witness Huanglong being overwhelmed, causing everyone to marvel at the mysterious cultivator's formidable strength. Sun Yiyuan observes that Sun Rong was rescued during her intense confrontation with Huanglong, sparking speculation about the identity of this powerful cultivator. Chen Chao suggests it might be Wang Ling due to his habit of disappearing at critical moments, but Lin Xiaoyu dismisses the idea, noting Wang Ling's relatively low spiritual force of 5. Despite this, the group jokingly speculates about Wang Ling possibly returning soon after walking his dog. Meanwhile, Lord Thunder and Wang Zukong discuss the implications of the ongoing battle. Lord Thunder highlights the mysterious cultivator's ability to navigate Huanglong's spiritual space freely and inflict significant damage. Wang Zukong agrees, acknowledging the unknown cultivator's extraordinary power. Lord Thunder emphasizes that not only is the cultivator immune to the spiritual space's limitations, but they can also substantially harm Huanglong. Intrigued, Wang Zukong asks Lord Thunder about his familiarity with this powerful cultivator. Lord Thunder admits he doesn't know their identity, but recalls witnessing a cultivator with Zhou Yi who broke the seal of a gourd, a feat he believed only he could achieve. This leads to speculation that the mysterious cultivator might be Wang Ling, the underwhelming fool who somehow always ends up in the spotlight. Meanwhile, in the spiritual domain, Huanglong questions Sun Rong's capabilities and accuses her of using powers beyond her own, warning of potential strain on her body. Jinkei reassures Sun Rong, advising her to ignore Huanglong's provocations. Engaging in close combat, Huanglong launches attacks that Sun Rong skillfully evades. She counters with a powerful kick and blocks subsequent attacks with adept sword skills. Huanglong escalates the battle by unleashing a fireball, which Sun Rong effortlessly deflects. Despite Huanglong's increasing power, Sun Rong remains resilient, encouraged by Wang Ling to persist. Their battle intensifies with Huanglong attempting close-range combat, only for Sun Rong to evade and deliver a series of precise punches. She lands a decisive blow that shatters the spiritual space, forcing Huanglong back into the real world. Meanwhile, Yi Jianchu senses the disturbance and swiftly moves to the location, intent on identifying the combatant. As Huanglong materializes in the human realm, Zhou Yi promptly apprehends him. Sun Rong and Wang Ling reunite briefly as the borrowed power fades. Jinkei explains that the empowerment lasted only 3 minutes. Wang Ling, as useless as ever, rewards Sun Rong with another pack of crispy instant noodles, acknowledging her pivotal role in maintaining peace. They discuss the challenges ahead, recognizing the fragile state of their world. Sun Rong begins to confide something in Wang Ling when Yi Jianchu arrives abruptly. Wang Ling disappears, leaving Sun Rong to face Yi Jianchu alone. Recognizing her, Yi Jianchu reveals he has been observing Sun Rong and identifies her as the combatant who fought Huanglong. He declares she is the heir he has sought, impressed by her aura reminiscent of a powerful figure from Faction 60. He questions her understanding of swordsmanship and proposes she lead the Infinite Sword faction. Initially hesitant, Sun Rong denies his offer, but Yi Jianchu insists she is destined for leadership, kneeling before her in reverence. Back at the Four Emblems Cave, Zhou Yi's security forces, the mobile team, find themselves tormented by a mysterious figure. This figure mutters to himself about his disciple and the imminent return of their master. The mobile team is immobilized in the presence of this figure, unable to move due to his overwhelming aura. The figure demands information from one of the security team members. She initially refuses to betray the mobile team, but the figure uses his power to possess her momentarily. Under his influence, she reluctantly divulges everything she knows about the situation. She confirms to him, now addressing him as master, that she understands. Meanwhile, at the Faction 60 gym, Wang Ling, Lin Xiaoyu, Chen Chao, and Guo Hao are engaged in training. They notice Lin Xiaoyu practicing with Froggy 2 and inquire why. She explains that her usual partner isn't available at the moment. Chen Chao raises concerns among the group about Sun Rong's recent habit of requesting multiple leaves. Following their training session, Guo Hao informs them of Zhou Yi's invitation to the latest immersive theater experience happening over the weekend. He elaborates that it's an immersive performance centered on the ancient battle of cultivators, aimed at aiding cultivation. The upcoming drama revolves around the theme of the Sword Immortal, offering them a chance to witness the legendary battle of the Sword Immortal Fan Rui. Meanwhile, at Sun Rong's home, she and her grandfather warmly welcome Yi Jianchu, treating him to a meal. Yi Jianchu explains his purpose there, to invite Sun Rong to lead the Infinite Sword faction. Sun Yiyuan expresses pride in his granddaughter, but Yi Jianchu surprises them by mentioning Sun Rong's victory over Huang Long. Sun Yiyuan finds it amusing, questioning Yi Jianchu if he means to say a Foundation Phase cultivator defeated a true Immortal Phase cultivator. He laughs at the idea, with Sun Yiyuan cautioning Yi Jianchu not to make light of such matters. He brings up the ambitions of the evil sword lord Chen Nanshuan, who sought leadership of the Infinite Sword faction, and asks Yi Jianchu if his intention is to put Sun Rong in danger. Yi Jianchu reassures him it's not his intention, though Sun Yiyuan remains firm, emphasizing that Sun Rong is his only granddaughter, and he's wary of her taking unnecessary risks. Yi Jianchu acknowledges Sun Yiyuan's concerns, understanding his protective stance. Despite the skepticism, Yi Jianchu promises to prove that Sun Rong is indeed a prodigious talent. With a courteous farewell, Sun Rong sees him off, maintaining respect even amid the spirited discussion. Before departing, Yi Jianchu is offered a theater ticket by Sun Rong, who explains it's for an immersive theater experience, based on the story of the Sword Immortal and the Infinite Sword faction. Yi Jianchu accepts, acknowledging Sun Rong's invitation. She adds that while she can't accept the leadership of the faction, she believes the Infinite Sword faction will surely thrive again. Yi Jianchu takes his leave. Afterward, Sun Rong simultaneously texts Wang Ling and Zhou Yi, informing them that all the invitations have been sent out for the theater event. At Wang Ling's house, his parents inform him they're heading to the hospital for a checkup, and ask him and Froggy 2 to guard the house in their absence. Wang Ling, the perpetual good-for-nothing, suggests using his observation ability to check on them remotely, but his mom assures him it's unnecessary. His dad adds that they'll be back soon, and they take their leave. Later, Wang Ling is in his room creating a kind of seal. Once he finishes, he picks up Froggy 2 and tells him he has a gift. He launches the blue seal he created, and Jinkei explains that it's a demon world created by Wang Ling. Curious, Froggy 2 asks where this new demon world is located, and wonders if it's just another space. Jinkei clarifies that Wang Ling has created an entirely new place for demons to settle down, surprising Froggy 2. Later on, the group meets up with Zhou Yi, who warmly welcomes them. They notice Wang Ling isn't with them, and Zhou Yi explains that Wang Ling arrived early and went ahead to the theater. Sun Rong mentions that Wang Ling got them tickets through his crispy noodle purchases. Zhou Yi then activates a space substitution rune. Seeing this, Guo Hao remarks that only superior cultivators can create such runes. Zhou Yi informs the group that the theater is far away, so he'll use the space substitution rune to transport them there. Meanwhile, Wang Ling, Froggy 2, and Jinkei are in the world created by Wang Ling for Froggy 2. They explore the features of this new environment, and Froggy 2 is visibly delighted. He asks Wang Ling how he managed to create such a place, and Jinkei explains the intricacies involved, likely understating the simplicity, so Wang Ling doesn't look even more useless. After taking in the marvels of the world Wang Ling has crafted, Jinkei informs him that the group has arrived. Wang Ling prepares to greet them and heads to pick them up. Zhou Yi introduces the world as an immersive theater to the group, who are immediately fascinated by its realism. Chen Chao praises the creator's generosity in imitating such intricate details. Guo Hao inquires about the creator's identity, But at that moment, Wang Ling arrives at the location flying on a creature, finally doing something remotely impressive. Chen Chao and Lin Xiaoyu board the flying creature at Wang Ling's invitation, and it takes off into the air. Wang Ling then summons another creature named Sylvie for himself and Sun Rong. They board Sylvie together, and as they take off, Sun Rong wraps her hand around Wang Ling. Zhou Yi bids them farewell as they depart. Meanwhile, Yi Jianshu arrives at the location, and Zhou Yi informs him that he's been expecting his arrival. While flying, Chen Chao notices Wang Ling and Sun Rong cuddling up together, feeling a pang of jealousy. Froggy too notices Chen Chao's sadness and asks him what's wrong, but Chen Chao brushes it off, saying he's just feeling hurt. Meanwhile, the mysterious figure has gathered information from the memories of one of the security team members, whom he possessed. He expresses his displeasure upon discovering something significant. He then heads to the city of Huaxiu, declaring his intent to make someone taste the anger of the Way of Heaven for destroying the Four Emblems faction. Using the soul-searching art, he tracks Sun Rong's aura and determines her location, sensing a mix of her aura with a hint of pepper. Arriving at the location filled with Sun Rong's aura, he opens a door and finds himself in the world created by Wang Ling. There, he encounters Yi Jianshu and Zhou Yi. He questions Yi Jianshu's presence, asking if he's there to prevent him from seeking revenge. Yi Jianshu responds by accusing him of being a traitor to his faction. The mysterious figure challenges both Yi Jianshu and Zhou Yi to fight him together. As the mysterious figure intensifies his presence, he unleashes a powerful spiritual pressure. Wang Ling, riding on Sylvie with Sun Rong, observes this unfolding scene. He instructs Sylvie to reveal its cultivation prowess, ensuring protection for both him and Sun Rong. Meanwhile, Zhou Yi and Yi Jianshu prepare themselves to confront the mysterious figure. Zhou Yi notes that the spiritual force emanating from the mysterious figure resembles that of the evil lord. Yi Jianshu shields Zhou Yi with his power and proposes they initiate the battle. As they engage in a clash of spiritual forces, Yi Jianshu realizes that the mysterious figure has mastered the Way of Heaven. He expresses concern that their current efforts might not be sufficient to overcome him. Witnessing this, Wang Ling, the eternal underdog, decides to lend a portion of his spiritual force to support their struggle. The combined efforts culminate in a dramatic release of energy, causing a powerful explosion that reverberates through the surroundings. As the battle between Yi Jianshu and the mysterious figure unfolds, following the spiritual explosion, Yi Jianshu comments on the shattered spiritual pressure mixed with the power of the Way of Heaven. He concentrates his mind, searching for Sun Rong's presence, noting that the force he feels now surpasses what he sensed previously. In response, the mysterious figure taunts Yi Jianshu, suggesting he surrender, claiming superiority. He mocks Zhou Yi's age, asserting that he's already struggling after releasing only 10% of his power. The mysterious figure declares his intent. If he kills both Yi Jianshu and Sun Rong, he will become the heir to the Infinite Sword faction. Meanwhile, Wang Ling and his group observe the battle from a distance. Chen Chao expresses excitement, noting the imminent commencement of the spectacle. Guo Hao remarks on their vantage point being too far to discern the actors' faces clearly. Froggy too interjects, reminding them that the performance reenacts the ancient war of cultivators in the true Immortal phase, urging them to immerse themselves in the war's atmosphere. He privately observes the overwhelming spiritual pressure affecting the true Immortal phase cultivators. Guo Hao draws attention to the appearance of another participant in the scene, sparking increased interest and speculation among Wang Ling's group as they continue to observe the unfolding battle. Unbeknownst to them, what they initially perceived as a performance was actually the intense battle between Sword Saint and the mysterious figure. The conflict escalates as they float in the air, the tension mounting with each exchange of power. Yi Jianshu utilizes his abilities to rejuvenate himself, prompting laughter from the mysterious figure who questions if he believes he can match his mastery of the Way of Heaven. Undeterred, Yi Jianshu intensifies his power further. From a distance, Sun Rong observes Yi Jianshu's amplified abilities, noting that his power has surged tenfold and surpassed its limits. She remarks to Wang Ling that they remain unseen due to the collective invisibility of art in use. Meanwhile, Chen Chao nearly loses his balance due to the force of the battle. Froggy too recognizes the technique activated by Yi Jianshu as a secret art known for its life-shortening consequences. The mysterious figure taunts Yi Jianshu, claiming that their master taught him the highest art, but scoffs at Yi Jianshu's ignorance of mastering the Way of Heaven first. He challenges Yi Jianshu to engage fully, proclaiming that today they will determine who holds greater power. Zhou Yi observes from the ground as the mysterious figure increases his pressure and unleashes his full strength. Yi Jianshu remarks that despite time passing, the mysterious figure remains as violent as ever. Back with Sun Rong and Wang Ling, Sun Rong mentions feeling unusually agitated. Jinkei explains that the spiritual impulse of the mysterious figure can evoke negative emotions. The rest of the group is similarly affected, prompting Wang Ling to employ his purification power to shield them from the adverse effects. As the battle intensifies between Sword Saint and the mysterious figure, each move escalates the tension. Amidst the conflict, the mysterious figure taunts the Saint's sword, noting he sees no sword in his hand, despite being known as Yi Jianchu. Yi Jianchu retorts that he wields a sword not in hand but in heart, explaining that everything in the world can become his weapon. With a surge of power, the sword unleashes his abilities. Observing the exchange, Froggy 2 reflects on the unexpected appearance of an Earth sword counterpart, previously thinking only a heaven sword existed. Despite this revelation, Yi Jianchu and the mysterious figure prepare to engage once more, their conflict reaching a critical point. In a decisive moment, Yi Jianchu addresses the mysterious figure by name, Chen Nanshuan, accusing him of numerous transgressions and vowing to end him for the sake of their master's honor. Chen Nanshuan counters by acknowledging Zhou Yi's mastery of the Earth Sword, implying a shared history. Sword Saint asserts he mastered it independently, but Chen Nanshuan dismisses him, claiming their master's spirit lives on through him to protect Yi Jianchu, despite never receiving acknowledgement. As the battle rages on, a memory of Chen Nanshuan surfaces. He recalls confronting their master about why Yi Jianchu was chosen as the heir instead of him. The master explains his reasoning, emphasizing that Chen Nanshuan has his own path to follow, and that, by sticking to the right path, he will eventually learn the way of heaven. The master also clarifies that winning the contest was never meant to determine the heir. He shows Chen Nanshuan that the Golden Bridge contest was a test of will, and that Yi Jianchu never intended to compete with him. In a fit of rage, Chen Nanshuan pushes his master off a cliff. Back in the present fight, Chen Nanshuan challenges Yi Jianchu. They unleash an immense spiritual pressure, blowing away everything in their path. Chen Nanshuan strikes with his powerful spiritual force sword, and Yi Jianchu attempts to block but cannot fully withstand it. Chen Nanshuan attacks again, and as the blow heads towards Yi Jianchu, he resolves that even if he dies, he cannot let Chen Nanshuan endanger the world again. Despite his efforts, he struggles to hold off the attack. Wang Ling, observing the struggle, decides to support Yi Jianchu discreetly. Both combatants are surprised by the unexpected resistance. Chen Nanshuan, puzzled by Yi Jianchu's newfound strength, launches another powerful move, splitting heaven doors. This prompts Wang Ling to step in more overtly, much to the excitement of his peers, who still believe it is all an act. Chen Nanshuan, seeing Wang Ling intervene, arrogantly assumes that no one can stop his attack. Yi Jianchu warns Wang Ling that his knowledge of sword art won't be enough. However, Wang Ling uses the art of purification, easily neutralizing Chen Nanshuan's attack. Chen Nanshuan, shocked, sends another powerful strike, which Wang Ling effortlessly stops with just his fingertips, destroying Chen Nanshuan's power. Stunned, Chen Nanshuan questions Wang Ling, who in turn asks Chen Nanshuan who he thinks he is to challenge him. Wang Ling's hands begin to glow, manifesting a seal of the way of heaven. Froggy 2 explains that only cultivators who have mastered the 3,000 ways of heaven can achieve this. In a moment, the forces of heaven embed in Wang Ling's hand, and he exorcised the darkness within Chen Nanshuan, restoring him to his former self. Wang Ling then orders Zhou Yi to arrest Chen Nanshuan. After the battle, Yi Jianchu addresses Wang Ling, asking him to take over the Infinite Sword faction. Wang Ling declines, saying he isn't ready yet. Yi Jianchu, feeling the effects of old age, tells Wang Ling that he is running out of time. He suggests that Wang Ling leave so he can use his remaining spiritual force to repair the area, lamenting that he has let his master down. In response, Wang Ling offers him another 500 years of life, making him young again. Wang Ling tells him that now he has time to find a successor and protect the faction. Yi Jianchu, curious, asks what swordsmanship Wang Ling used. Wang Ling modestly replies that he just figured it out and would teach him later. Wang Ling's friends then join him, hyping him up and saying how cool he was. They marvel at how real the battle seemed and collect Yi Jianchu's autograph, thinking he is an actor. Afterward, they all enjoy a picnic together. 2 months later, we see Wang Ling's parents at a doctor's office, receiving the results of his mother's checkup. The doctor informs Mr. Wang that his wife is pregnant. Shocked and bewildered, Mr. Wang worries internally, feeling that the mortal world is facing more danger. That wraps up our recap of this anime. It's been a wild journey through Wang Ling's story. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated on all our future recaps. Let us know in the comments which anime you'd like us to cover next. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.